The words hit me before I could process them, like ice water flooding my veins. She cheated her way through college. My sister Diana's voice cut through the graduation ceremony applause, sharp and deliberate. 200 faces swiveled toward me as I stood frozen halfway to the podium, my cap slightly askew, diploma folder trembling in my grip. The auditorium lights suddenly felt too bright, too hot. My mouth went desert dry as Diana rose from her seat in the family section. She pointed at me like a prosecutor delivering a verdict. "She doesn't deserve that diploma. She lied. She manipulated the system. Ask anyone." My name is Rebecca. I'm 22 and a psychology major. This is the story of how I turned my sister's betrayal into her downfall. The moment stretched impossibly long. Dean Matthews stood at the podium, his expression shifting from celebration to concern. My parents sat statue still in the third row, Dad's face drained of color, Mom's hand covering her mouth. But Diana looked radiant, feeding off the chaos she'd created. This wasn't spontaneous. Everything about her posture, her timing, her theatrical delivery screamed premeditation. She'd planned to destroy me on the one day I couldn't defend myself, couldn't walk away, couldn't disappear. What she didn't know was that I'd been expecting this. Not exactly this, not so public, not so brutal, but something. Because for months my life had been unraveling in ways too deliberate to be coincidental. It started senior year when my scholarship payments came up short. Then suspicious emails appeared in my sent folder, messages I never wrote, appointments I never canceled, complaints filed by people I'd never met. My computer logged into at odd hours, files accessed while I slept, a plagiarism complaint that made Professor Kim look at me like I'd personally betrayed him. At first I blamed stress, system glitches, the general chaos of college. But patterns emerged. Every incident happened just before something important. A presentation, an interview, a deadline. Someone was sabotaging me with surgical precision. The night I found that fabricated email canceling my capstone review, I knew. The phrasing was wrong, the signature off, but the damage was very real. I stared at the screen in my dorm room. Lena, asleep in the next bed. I felt the pieces clicking together like puzzle parts I'd been trying to ignore. Diana, my brilliant, charismatic sister who'd always been first at everything until I started catching up. Diana, who'd dropped out of grad school last year and been drifting ever since, always comparing herself to me, always keeping score. That weekend, I drove home to Portland and found Dad in the backyard watering his prize hydrangeas. Has Diana ever mentioned feeling competitive about school? His hand stilled on the watering can. She's been struggling since leaving the program. Says you get everything handed to you. He paused. I told her that wasn't fair, but nothing. The crack in our family had been there all along. I just hadn't wanted to see it. Back at campus, I made a decision that would change everything. My roommate, Lena, mentioned her cousin had hired a digital forensics specialist when her ex was stalking her online. So I contacted Noah Vance. If Diana was in my accounts, she'd left traces. People always do. 3 days later, Noah called me to his downtown office. The place hummed with servers and old coffee, but his screen showed crystal clear evidence. These login attempts, they're not yours. They're coming from a home network in Portland, same network where your parents live. My chest tightened. Can you prove who? The device fingerprint matches social media activity from Diana Hart. She's been accessing your accounts for 4 months. 4 months. While I'd been questioning my sanity, Diana had been systematically destroying my reputation. The scholarship money, the plagiarism complaints, the fabricated emails, all of it orchestrated from Mom and Dad's kitchen table. Noah scrolled through more evidence. She redirected payments twice, created mirror email addresses 1 character off from yours, and filed false reports with your professors. This isn't random harassment. This is identity theft with intent to cause academic harm. I left his office shaking, not from fear, but from clarity. For the first time in months, I knew exactly what was happening and why. Diana wasn't just jealous, she was dangerous, and she was escalating. I called attorney Sarah Cross that afternoon. She reviewed Noah's findings with sharp, focused eyes. This is criminal. Academic fraud, identity theft, harassment. When do you want this to stop? Graduation is in 2 weeks. She'll try something there. She won't be able to resist the stage. Sarah nodded grimly. Then we'll be ready. Those final 2 weeks felt like living in slow motion. I attended classes, finished my capstone, tried on my graduation gown, all while carrying a sealed envelope of evidence that would end Diana's campaign of destruction. But she didn't know that yet. The night before graduation, I met Dean Matthews at his office and explained everything. His face grew grimmer with each detail, but he listened carefully. He agreed to be prepared for whatever Diana might attempt during the ceremony. The morning of graduation, Diana arrived dressed like she was accepting an award instead of attending someone else's ceremony. White blazer, perfect makeup, predatory smile. She scanned the crowd hungrily, positioning herself for maximum visibility. "Big day," she said when she spotted me, voice dripping false sweetness. "Huge," I replied, my hand brushing the envelope hidden in my gown's inner pocket. As I took my seat on the stage with the honors students, I caught Dean Matthews' eye. We'd spoken the night before. He knew everything. His slight nod told me the plan was in motion. The ceremony began. Speeches, applause, name after name called to receive diplomas. Mine was alphabetically near the end, which gave Diana plenty of time to decide how she'd destroy my moment. And she took it. The scrape of her chair, the pointed finger, the public execution disguised as righteous accusation. But as I stood there, feeling the weight of 200 stares, something unexpected happened. I didn't feel humiliated. I felt powerful. Because Diana had just done exactly what I knew she would do. She'd revealed herself completely, publicly, irrevocably, and I had every piece of evidence needed to prove who the real fraud was. I walked to the podium with measured steps, my heels clicking like a countdown. When I reached Dean Matthews, he leaned forward slightly. "The envelope is under my chair, labeled D section." He didn't flinch. His knowing nod was the quiet beginning of Diana's end. As I received my diploma, security approached Diana's row. She was still shouting accusations, voice cracking under the strain of her performance. But the crowd had already shifted. People weren't looking at me anymore. They were staring at her. This woman unraveling publicly, desperately. "You're all blind," she screamed as security offered her the choice to calm down or step outside. "She's been lying for years." But no one was listening, not anymore. After the ceremony ended and families began gathering on the campus lawn for photos, I found my parents standing apart from the crowds. They looked shell-shocked. We spoke briefly, but the weight of what had just happened hung heavy between us. The investigation launched Monday morning. By Wednesday, Noah had provided the university with comprehensive logs showing Diana's systematic intrusion into my accounts. 2 professors came forward with suspicious emails they'd previously dismissed. The financial aid office traced the redirected payments directly to her digital fingerprint. Diana's graduation outburst, the very spectacle she thought would ruin me, became the clearest evidence of her obsessive intent. She'd confessed her motive in front of 200 witnesses. She unknowingly provided the perfect bookend to months of documented sabotage. The academic board's decision was swift and unanimous. Diana was banned from campus pending criminal referral. When Sarah filed the civil action, the evidence was so overwhelming that Diana's attorney recommended immediate settlement. 6 months later, the legal proceedings concluded. Diana pled guilty to identity theft and academic fraud charges, receiving 18 months of supervised probation and mandatory counseling. The civil settlement covered my legal fees, the cost of credit monitoring, and compensation for the damaged scholarship funds. Diana was also required to write formal apology letters to the professors she had deceived with her fake emails. My parents called that evening after the legal resolution, voices heavy with shock and shame. "We should have seen it. We should have protected you." But I didn't need protection anymore. I needed distance, space to rebuild what Diana had tried to tear down. 2 years have passed since graduation day. I moved to a small apartment in Corvallis, nothing fancy but flooded with morning light. I adopted a cat who immediately claimed every surface as his own. I bought a second-hand desk and let my days become simple again. For the first time in years, I wasn't looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next attack. My relationship with my parents has slowly rebuilt itself through monthly coffee meetings and holiday visits. though we all acknowledge the family dynamic fundamentally changed. Diana and I have had no contact since the legal proceedings ended. I've made peace with the fact that our sibling relationship may never recover. Sometimes the cost of protecting yourself is losing people you once loved. Diana's sabotage had been thorough, but it had also been sloppy. In trying to destroy me, she documented her own crimes. Every fake email, every stolen password, every redirected payment was logged, time-stamped, and legally actionable. The girl who'd once braided my hair before school had become someone I no longer recognized, but in forcing me to fight back, she'd taught me something valuable. I was stronger than I knew. If there's one thing I learned, it's that sometimes the best revenge is simply refusing to be destroyed. Diana's choices shaped my pain, but they don't shape my future. I built that myself, piece by piece, with evidence, patience, and the unwavering belief that the truth always leaves traces. If you've ever had to stand up to someone who should have protected you instead of attacking you, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments. I read everyone. And if you want more stories about finding strength you didn't know you had, hit that subscribe button. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles, zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.